Thank you and welcome to the District 30 Toastmasters Conference Primer, our first primer for the Toastmasters season. And I am very, very honored to introduce to you our keynote speaker for the conference this year, May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at the Embassy Suites in Schaumburg, Illinois. Please welcome Forrest Tuff. And I have to give you a round of applause and so grateful for your participation. And thank you for joining us tonight. Uh, Forrest, can
Thank you,
you?
Robert.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Can you introduce yourself in your own words to the people of District 30 here in Chicago?
Look, Chicago, I'm from Atlanta and I'm coming to your town.
All
That's all
right.
we need to know right now. We're going to talk about all the rest of the stuff, but I'm here, man, and we're going to talk about how do we make these things work? Because I know one thing about myself and one thing about people. We don't just join stuff to join. We want to figure out how we can make it not only work for the organization, but for us. So for me, that's what my passion is, showing you how I made it work for me and how I continue to use Toastmasters to help grow the things that I'm doing in my business.
Fantastic. No, and I certainly agree with you, particularly in this day and age. People don't have a lot of time, and so what they're doing really has to add value to their lives. And so, totally agree with you. Now, you're from Atlanta. Um, Welcome. I love Atlanta, one of my favorite
Yeah.
places in the world.
That's right.
Um, and we're going to welcome you to Chicago. So hopefully you're able to enjoy some of our cuisine and uh, amusements
Yeah, I'm looking
here in
forward to
Chicago.
it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So that's why I'm excited about these 3 days so I can really lock in. I
Yes.
think this is something that's really good is when I can come to a city and really engage in the people and not just do a drive-by, as I call it.
Hmm.
Sometimes keynotes, we do a drive-by. We come in, we hit and we out. I want to be able to talk to the people, man, get a feel for what's happening and,
Hmm.
this the flavor of the city and just see, how we connect and can grow together.
Fantastic. No, I appreciate that. And you will certainly have a great time with us, and we'll have a great time listening to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have been generous enough to present on Friday evening, on Saturday, of course, and then again on Sunday. And so, uh, lots of good stuff, good information, and great times coming ahead. Tell us though, what's your Toastmasters story? How did you begin your Toastmasters journey?
Well, I'll tell you this, but I will say this, Chicago. If I leave without pizza, we might have some problems. But I got to taste some of that Chicago pizza. But my journey with Toastmasters really started. I've been in business 21 years in the media field, production and working with government agencies and corporations. And so I started receiving inquiries I started receiving requests to speak at events.
Mm.
Now, the thing that was interesting is that I would walk onto this stage and see all these people and go, wait a minute, I'm not quite there with this skill. I'm good with one-on-one, I'm good with, small groups, but I realized I needed to hone my craft as a speaker dealing with larger groups. And that's what brought me to Toastmasters because I was a paid speaker. And so now I decided Toastmasters and I saw this accredited speaker program. So that was the draw for me.
Wow. Wow. So you kind of started in an advanced state and went right to something that most Toastmasters never touch on, the accredited speaker. Um, how did you navigate that journey? How did you get your accreditation from Toastmasters with that program?
Well, I knew about the program. So as I started to research it, all of my efforts were now drawn to the business of speaking. So as I was working the program, I realized, wait, there's more to Toastmasters than I thought. So I'm working this program, but then I'm also working on becoming a DTM. That wasn't the plan. I had no plans of becoming a distinguished Toastmaster, but as I got into the program, I recognized there were so many things that were helping me grow in my other business. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is great. Not only am I working and becoming a better speaker because I wasn't there, and it's always a process, but the accredited speaker helped me to really hone in on the business of speaking and my craft while I was learning to become a better speaker, just doing the
Wow.
programs, working the clubs every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic and inspirational. And so many Toastmasters need to hear that because we don't think about becoming accredited speakers, especially when we're early on. In fact, most Toastmasters never get their DTMs, which is
Yeah.
really, unfortunate. And certainly I would encourage every Toastmaster to get their DTM, but we
Yeah,
know that the
absolutely.
statistics are such that, and you really have to focus in and commit to the leadership part of Toastmasters too. And
That's
so,
right.
um, that's fantastic. I think let me ask you this because I do I want to save some of the wonderful jewels that you have for the conference, but I really think I mean you're very interesting, and
Thank you.
like I said, we're fortunate to have you as a keynote. You have been in Toastmasters. How many years were you? How many years?
2017. So now about 8 years.
17.
Yeah.
8 years.
Eight
Eight
years.
years. That's fantastic. That's a lot to accomplish in that short period of time. I know a lot of Toastmasters who've been in a lot longer and, we haven't understood all that was possible or even wanted to or were kind of courageous enough to make that move. So,
Wow.
give you kudos for that.
Thank
Uh,
you.
now you're based in Atlanta. Your district is District 14.
Hmm.
Tell us about your Toastmasters club there.
So my
Which,
club is Gwinnett. It's based in Gwinnett Tucker's Gwinnett Tucker Toastmasters. So half
mhm,
and half. So when I joined that club, what I loved about that club, it was very diverse. There's different
mhm,
nationalities, but a very professional and inviting club. That was the thing that got me in. It was the people. And that's what I always say. I correlate Toastmasters to business. We're still in
mhm.
the business of people. That was a
Yes.
people signing checks, not AI just yet. So when I walked in the club, I mean, they greeted me. I had this stigma like, okay, yeah, everybody's gonna be amazing speakers and they're gonna be uppity. I walked in the club and they were like, hey, how you doing? Greeted me, and everyone was so helping me through the meeting. And oh man, I was hooked. I was hooked off
Wow.
the people. And
Hmm.
I knew this is an organization I want to be a part of because, I love being around great people, and so for me, that was what really stuck me in and started that journey because I was working with amazing people and I was open to hearing their advice because I knew they had my interest in mind. It
Hmm.
was like, hey, we want you to grow it in Toastmasters, but have you considered this? And I started to realize, yeah, this can help me in my personal and professional life.
No, absolutely. Love that. Love that. As you know, the theme for our conference this year is engage, and you're an engaging a person, engaging speaker. Can you share with our members in our district what comes to your mind when you think about engage with regard to Toastmasters and our D30 conference?
One of the things that I will say, I remember the transition during the pandemic,
Mm,
going into pathways. And I remember there was always this like, I really like the old way. I'm not, engaged in pathways. So one of the things that I think about when I say engage is really finding out how this program can benefit you.
mm,
Okay. Now that's where you're going to find yourself benefiting the program. Because here's how I looked at Toastmasters. There's no program in the world. There are a lot of major speaker programs. There's no program in the world at this price point that gives you the ability to hone your skill set with the paperwork, the means, the knowledge, the relevance, and the people. And when you find out how relevant that is, you're realizing, man, I have the potential to make this much with this investment. The biggest investment is your time. And
mm.
that's the thing for me was recognizing that, hey, if I give of my time, but strategically figure out how that works for me also, that's when I started to really see the benefit within Toastmasters organization.
Wow, that's a great point. And I'm so glad you mentioned that and highlighted that. It really is about the time that you spend uh, speaking, evaluating, offering your services as a leader in the club and district. And so those, something that hits real close to home with me. So I'm grateful for you to talk about that. Now, you're going to be presenting several different uh, times during the weekend. And I'm wondering, I don't want to steal your thunder and have you give away all the secrets, but could you just speak to some of the topics that you'll be covering that we'll be able to hear you and enjoy you on?
Well, I know Friday we're going to be celebrating. It's a big celebration, the DTM. So that's a celebration. That's a
Hmm.
celebration of the work that's been done. So we're not focusing that day on what we can do. We're going to focus on what we've accomplished and just take that moment to celebrate. As we move into Saturday, we're going to talk about how do we brand ourselves and how do we get engaged within Toastmasters? How do we re-engage? How do we focus on the people that are here that are carrying the load and also use that to bring in new blood to keep this thing going. And then we're going to also talk about the process to become an accredited speaker. It's not a track like the DTM, and many people aren't aware of it. And so
Right.
we're going to take some time to really hone in on that and talk about that process and the benefits. And, as we kind of wrap it up, we're going to discuss, some other things about leadership and how to become a better leader and, talk with some youth and just, work on that new generation because it's always important that these skills that we have that we give back to youth. For me, that's huge. That's very important. I love to receive, I love to take, but I also love to give because I feel like that's a balance. You got to balance it out. So
That's
that's
right.
kind of an overall synopsis of the different topics we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, hey, celebrating you as Toastmasters. We're going to talk about how do you make this work for your business by engaging it within Toastmasters. We're going to give back to the youth. And we're going to talk about how you can become a paid speaker.
Wow. Wow. That's really, really impressive stuff. And just for the members out there who are watching this, you don't want to miss either day. You want to be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, as Forrest has just shared. I mean, we're celebrating our DTMs and recognizing leaders on Friday. Saturday, as you know, will be jam-packed with education workshops and our contests, but you will get keynotes from Forrest discussing some of the things that he just mentioned. I couldn't help but get hooked on the branding part because that's something that a lot of people struggle with. And I just want to, you know, share a little bit about what you've done in terms of branding because it was really impressive when I went to your website. And so
Yeah.
we know that stuff's coming on Saturday, and then Sunday, of course, we're recognizing our achievers, and we are going to have, you know, of course, great speaking, and we're going to be recognizing the youth, the young people that Forrest just mentioned, our youth leadership programming. So, uh, 3 action-packed days going to be filled with activity and energy and engagement each day. And so, we certainly want to encourage you to register. Registration is opening in a couple of days. And so, we want to also provide a a great bit of content over the next month to prime you for the content, or for not for the contest, but for the conference. Of course, we've got our international speech contest Saturday evening, so or Saturday late afternoon. So we don't want you to we want you to get there early and stay till until they shut us down and put us out. I don't know, but if you're not uh, if you haven't already booked your hotel, I think that link will be available on the website, d30toastmasters.org, and we'll get to that. There'll be much more about registration coming soon. But before we wind it down, I really wanted to ask you, Forrest, and I'm going to share the screen so that everyone can see.
Okay.
Uh, can you see the website? Can you see your website,
Not yet.
McKenzie? Not
Now,
yet?
there we go. That's it. Yeah.
Okay,
Ooh, look at
fantastic.
that guy. All right. I see. That's my Steve. That's my Steve Jobs.
That's right. That's right. Steve Jobs.
Oh, Steve Jobs, man. Yeah.
Man, I didn't catch that, but that's something that may be one of our scavenger hunt questions that we ask just to see if people watch this. We won't,
Yeah.
we won't talk about it too much, but Where did you get the inspiration for that picture
Nah, man, that's
on the
what I was
website?
going for. I
You
was
were
going
going
for
for
that
Steve
completely.
Jobs. Oh, I
Yeah, there's
love it.
no,
I
don't
love
wonder about it. Don't guess. That's what I was trying to
it.
do. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Um, you are a consummate brander, and you are so many other things that have contributed to your Toastmasters journey, but that have all also been informed by your Toastmasters journey. And so,
Yeah.
uh, you are a certified coach, of course, a public speaker, professional speaker. Uh, you've gone through the accredited program with Toastmasters. You do leadership training, and uh, you're an author, and you've got this branded concept called filmpreneur. Tell
Yes.
us about tell us about the filmpreneur part, because there may be some Toastmasters who are interested in getting into film,
Yeah. Yeah.
and maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
So filmpreneur was my fusion of creativity and entrepreneur and business.
Okay.
So I thought about it and I said, what is a name that really will represent what I do in film? Because I work on the creative side, but I'm also on the business side, pitching. And I came up with filmpreneur. And so here's the serious part. I received the trademark because I needed to own it.
Oh,
And so that
very
to me
wise.
is what's really important when you start to get into branding is owning your brand.
Hmm.
So even like, as a speaker, I'm an accredited speaker. I needed something to separate me in my space that I would walk into. So, we've done award shows, documentaries, films, TV shows, web shows, commercials, marketing videos. And so this is my journey on my creative side where I love to create and also get business and monetize my gifts. So that is how the filmpreneur trademark came up, the brand of filmpreneur.
Wow, really impressive. And I just want to direct our members to forresttuff.com. That's FORRESTTUFF, and where you can find all of this great information. Um, and uh, lots of content, lots of great pictures and images. You're a filmmaker, and you know, if we also talk about the coaching, what can you share with us about your coaching practice?
I really focus on what I call mentally tough coaching.
Mentally
Tough. That's
tough.
my last name. You get it? See where I'm going?
Okay.
Yeah. So the concept it really started from my years as an athlete, and that's something we'll talk about. I was a Hall of Fame basketball player, played Division One. I had NBA dreams, and it didn't happen. But one
Mm,
thing I always remember, whenever we failed in the game, when you play a sport, you lose, you win, you lose, you win. But when you lose, you get back up. And so you always had to have this mental toughness to say, I can't worry about what happened yesterday. We lost. We got to get back and get ourselves back on the horse. So that is where my concept of coaching.
mm,
So as I began to coach, and I was a mentor for 8 years with the SBA, and then I started to coach, I received my certifications. I really focus on the mentality of people because that's where so many things happen. It's in
yeah.
your mental capacity to enact change by the choices you make in life.
Well, that's really great. And we love you've got the perfect name for this mental
Yeah, tough.
toughness
Yeah.
branding.
Trademark pending right now. Trademark
Trademark.
pending.
Okay. We love it. And I noticed you were a Hall of Fame athlete and the D1 basketball player. Tell us,
Yes.
I mean, I know you talked about NBA dreams. I mean, a lot of us former athletes, we can only live vicariously. We didn't quite get there. But
Yeah.
but no, you've got a great portion of your website that talks about the Hall of Fame. And from what I understand, I mean, you were an accomplished scorer and threat from 3 points. You
Yeah,
know,
from deep. I mean, I honestly, in my day, this is before Steph Curry. I mean, I was shooting from the hash mark, and,
wow.
and we have record videos of me hitting 11, 14, 10 threes a game.
Wow.
But that was my game back then. And it was very unorthodox at that time for
Hmm.
someone to shoot that way. But that wasn't the only parts of my game, but I realize now with the way the league is, it's so interesting that I played that way then. And so I feel like I
Hmm.
was before my time. But hey, it didn't happen. And like many people, the dream didn't happen. But now it's like, how do you pivot? What
Yeah.
happens when you fail? And now there is no going back. How do you pivot? And that is a real place for so many of us in situations. We've been on a job for X amount of time. We've been in relationships for X amount of time, and then it ends and it's truly over. How do we make that pivot? And that
Mm.
is an important part of the journey of just being a human. So not only do we focus on, how do you grow in your business, but in your professional life, because we have to be whole. And that's a
Mm.
part of, going back into the coaching, we have to be whole to move into new areas, whether it's new relationships, new jobs, new opportunities. And how do we get to that place? That's part of my journey, being in that low place and going, man, how do I get out of it? And having the
Yeah.
mental fortitude and the support system to come out to be able to move.
Oh yeah. No, I love that and really appreciate your journey. Wanted to share the other thing, One Vision Productions, and that's your production company. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey with One Vision?
Yeah, I grew up, always had a camcorder. Well, my mother always recorded things, like she recorded my games. And so when I got in high school, I always had a camcorder. I always
Mm.
recording fun times, parties. I never saw it as a profession. And like I told you, when I was going through that dark place, this came back to mind. And so in 2004, I started a production company with my own savings, bought a camera, and I started working it and working it. So here we are 21 years later. My kids are out of college and going through their masters, and I'm still in business, still love what I'm doing, and just trying to find ways to continually grow and evolve. But One Vision Productions is the bread and butter, and we focus really on production within the corporate and government sector.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Mhm.
Fantastic. And I see you've been awarded Best of Georgia, and so we uh, well received by the business community there. I just really wanted to take a moment to, and I'll stop the share now, really wanted to take a moment to dive a little bit deeper and let everyone know kind of what you're doing, what you're working on, what you're bringing. Lots of different experience, lots of different expertise, and we're looking, forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, I'm
Really.
glad to be here and to share and just to get the energy from everyone out there in District 30, because for me it's about sharing, but I want to pull from you because that's where my growth happens. Every
Hmm.
time I come out and I meet new people and I hear about your journeys and I'm able to share, that is what engagement is all about. And that's how we grow. We have to stay connected, as people and the things that you're learning and experience. So for me, that's what I'm really looking forward to.
No, fantastic. I love the way you kind of circled that back to engagement. And that's what we're really focused on. That we're going to have a great conference this year. And part of that is going to be because you, Forrest, will be providing keynote speaking and sharing
Thank you.
just all of the parts of your journey and branding and accredited speaking and just really and I know you do a lot of stuff with young people also. I just had a
Oh
chance
yeah.
to take a look at your website, so
Yeah.
just packed full of information. I'm really excited to have you. I'm excited, and the district members will be excited too. Everyone,
Awesome.
we're going to have a great conference. Please register. You'll be looking out in your email for the registration links. And it's May the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. That's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Embassy Suites in Schaumburg. And that's on Meacham Road. So, Forrest, thank you for taking a moment with us this evening to share and introduce yourself to District 30. We look forward to seeing you on the ground in May. And any parting words that you have for us as we wind it down.
Yeah, Chicago, I want you to remember this. I need my pizza.
Will somebody get this man his
Give
pizza?
me
Okay,
some pizza.
what what do you so what toppings do you like? And do you have you had Chicago deep dish before
Hey, I'm
or
I'm
thin
open to the
crust?
suggestions. I've heard the
Okay.
rumors. I've heard the myths. I just want to be able to have the authentic experience. So, I can make a story about having
Yes.
some Chicago pizza.
We'll make sure we get that
I
Chicago pizza
appreciate it.
for you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Coming in the door. We'll make sure that happens on Friday or whenever you get there. We'll have it
Yeah,
we'll have
but
it
no, I'm
ready
really
for you.
looking forward to, just like I say, coming in. And this is one of the reasons I really wanted to be here 3 days. I really want to engage with everyone. I don't want to do the drive-by. I want to be able to talk to you, get to know you, get to understand some of the things you're dealing with, and just see how I can be a piece of the solution to us growing and continuing to growing this organization and growing as members together because we're family.
Mhm.
So as a
That's right.
family, I'm in the business of serving also. I'm a leader within Toastmasters, so I'm about serving, and I want to see how I can come and serve and make sure that we all grow together.
Oh, fantastic. I love that. We'll have some information, available at the conference. Uh, uh, you'll be able to speak to your coaching program and some of the other things that you offer. And we're just fortunate to have you, and we're looking forward to May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at the Embassy Suites in Schaumburg. That being said, he's Forrest Tuff. I'm Robert McKenzie, and we'll uh, bid everyone adieu as we are waiting for that conference date to hit us and we can get there on Friday evening and begin celebrating together as Toastmasters do. Thank you, everyone, family, for joining us today, and we'll see you soon.